I would say be authentic and be true to who you are. Like I am not by any means perfect. I like what I like. It probably doesn't look good to other people often.
None of us
but
are,
you have to be true to yourself. And you have to learn how to be still.
Yeah.
Right? And especially in a fast-paced world where everything is on social media. I would say integrity. Like, be who you are and be who you say you are. If you say this is me and this is what I do, do that.
Yes.
And perfect that.
Yes.
And then add something to it, not a period, a comma.
Hello, and welcome to the Leadership Reality Podcast with your girl, Taiji Charity. This podcast is for C-suite leaders to discuss their experiences and provide insight, encouragement, and inspiration for seasoned and inspiring leaders, offering valuable solutions to today's challenges that will inspire, ignite, and invigorate new and seasoned leaders to walk in their God-given authority with compassion, kindness, and empathy. So sit back, relax, and be prepared to be inspired with today's episode of Leadership Reality. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of Leadership Realities with me, Taiji Charity. Y'all, we got another Chi-Town guest in the house today, Dr. Dunn Hendricks-Milhouse. Dr. Dunn is the executive director and co-founder of Milhouse Charities, where she has led the organization to invest over $1 million in programs supporting minority youth and women in STEM, alongside organizing 12,000 hours of community volunteer service. Y'all, that's impact. Her global impact includes providing food aid during COVID-19 to Nigeria, distributing shoes in Ghana, and commissioning water wells in Nigeria. With 30 plus years of experience in nonprofit event management, hospitality, and marketing, Dr. Dunn's leadership has earned her prestigious accolades, including the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award from President Joe Biden and recognition as a Nobel Leader by Crain's Chicago Business. Get it right, girl. She serves on several boards and advisory committees, including Pebbles Girls Mentoring Program and Project Hood Chicago, okay? Beyond her philanthropy, Dr. Dunn is a proud Chicago native with a background in hospitality and entertainment, having worked with Grammy Award-winning artists. Among her many accomplishments, she enjoys traveling, reading, and cooking, embodying a life driven by faith, family, and resilience. And y'all, I heard she enjoys cooking gumbo. So y'all, I'm from Louisiana, so y'all know we about to have a good old time talking with Dr. Dunn, right? Welcome back to LA. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I was trying to figure out who you were talking about.
Girl, it's you. And look. And we had to narrow that down because maybe your accomplishments went on and on. I'm like, that's my kind of girl right there.
That's the book.
The
Book of Dawn.
The Book of Dawn. Let's talk about that. When did Dawn realize that she was a leader? When did you first tap into those leadership qualities that you have?
You know, I really, it's difficult still for me to embrace that word because I feel like I always want to be on the ground side.
Yeah.
Never really felt like I had the call or of leadership. Mm-hmm. So it kind of found me, it rested on my shoulders.
Wow.
I think when you come from good stock, you learn the value of what you can do and when you should do it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of happened on me. As a youth, I tell people that my first leadership was my little sister. Like that was my first boss job. Okay. She was the baby, and
how many years apart?
We're 3.5 years apart.
Okay.
But when you're little, that's like 30 years, right?
Absolutely.
Now she likes to think she's my age, but we lived like a half mile from our bus stop for school, and we didn't both have boots. And so I would walk in front of her so she could walk in my footsteps so her feet wouldn't get wet because she was the one without the boots. And if I really put it into literal perspective, that was a leadership.
Absolutely.
That was a leadership role. I was the captain of my basketball team. At some point, I really thought I was going to be in the NBA.
Okay.
And then it just kind of organically happened. And then when I started in nonprofit, my first nonprofit job, I started in marketing and became the lead. So.
Wow. And then when did you start your own nonprofit?
I started my own in 2012,
Okay.
actually. But I always, since the late 80s, I was always involved.
Working in the nonprofit sector.
Yeah, and then with Chicagoans, I worked with an organization called Boys from the Hood. They were native Chicagoans who had gone to professional athletics with NBA and NFL and major league teams, and they wanted to make an impact in their city.
Yeah.
Great names like Nick Anderson and Tim Hardaway and Kendall Gill.
Okay.
And so we organized, literal Hall of Famers.
Yes.
We organized with other Chicagoans and then some of their peers from the NBA, and did a week-long service opportunities with the guys that came in town for it, and then ended with a celebrity basketball game.
Oh, I know that must be fun.
It was a good time. Concert in the middle. I had the opportunity through relationship to break Blackstreet. That was their first performance, like ever, outside of, the conferences that got them their deal with Teddy Riley. And then we decided that that model worked not just in our city, but in other cities. So we would partner with like Clyde Drexler in Houston and the teams in Cleveland. And we even took it for pediatric aids to Nassau and did a game down there for the benefit of pediatric aids in the Bahamas.
That's amazing. So I can only imagine, we talked about the 1 million, but I can only imagine the millions that you were able to raise doing, especially celebrity basketball games, getting the community to come together to see some of their favorite players play for a charity.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge, and I can only imagine it was a huge responsibility to do it as well.
It was huge, and you know this. When you realize it's a call, like your purpose, it doesn't, the weight on the shoulders doesn't feel heavy. It's a very, which is when you realize that it is the call.
Yeah.
Because everything else that's difficult is really probably not something you should be doing, right?
Look, don't make me start sipping already, girl. Don't make me start sipping.
Listen, did they put some champagne in my glass?
That's
but
right.
yeah, it's when it's easy. The Bible says many hands make light work.
Come on.
And so I just use my tool to make the load easier for somebody else. And really, that's my guiding light, is many hands. It takes all of us to make a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you started working in marketing, you said, first, right? And then kind of transitioned?
So my journey's a little untraditional,
Okay,
non-traditional.
talk about it.
I obviously, not going to school was not an option. I graduated high school with the delusion of grandeur of going to college with my then boyfriend, who I will leave nameless. He knows who he is.
Love make you do strange things, right?
Literally.
That's a
Went
whole
to
nother
University of
topic.
Arkansas, fell in love with somebody else, left school,
Uh-huh.
detoured, had a baby.
Okay.
But always worked. Airline, hotel. If it paid real money,
I know that's
it
right.
was a real job. I didn't really get back into traditional work until the late 80s. And that was when I started with the Boys from the Hood Foundation. And then that fit for me because I knew a lot of the guys, Kendalls and Nicks. We all grew up together. And I had then been working jobs in the music industry, like doing styling and working with Mike Bivens and Teddy Riley and developing
Mike
those.
Bivens.
Yeah, good guy. Working with Teddy Riley and those guys in the music, literally. I then met many years ago the Brat. Shawnee Harris, and she's like, I want a deal. So I decided that was for me to do, and made sure I shopped her until Jermaine Dupri actually gave her a deal.
Wow.
And so then I realized I could combine the two, right? I could combine that with that. And then, the detour continues. I waited tables for years. It's probably my favorite job.
Interesting.
It's like entrepreneurial.
And you get to meet a lot of people in the process.
Tons. You literally never know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And what it taught me was humility. There was a lot of embarrassment that I was at a high, and then there was a low, and I realized that I was not my job. I had heard a sermon from Reverend Meeks, James Meeks in Chicago. And he said, you're not your job, you're there for a purpose. And then it all started making sense. And then I was able to see the value of me not just putting plates on tables, but interaction with people that I know still, who allowed me to walk into my own true self in purpose.
I love that. So it wasn't your low, it was your opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was God's direction. And when you decide, just let him do it because he does it a little bit better.
Girl, look, I'm going to really sit to that one because you did. I can certainly,
Yeah.
a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Let me tell
absolutely. It was planned before we came.
Right.
And we choose to go the opposite direction.
See, now we're about to start having church in a second because that's a whole sermon right there in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me real quickly, what is the mission of your nonprofit organization?
Our mission, I'm married to an engineer who in fourth grade was told he should probably get a job because he really was not going to amount to anything. He was the child.
Success is the best victory.
Absolutely. He matriculated through to college, and in college was diagnosed with a learning disorder. He was dyslexic, and nobody ever took the time. He was extremely smart, but in engineering, that third, fourth grade, fifth grade math and science is critical.
Yes.
And he promised himself that he would do it. He left the University of Illinois with a master's and an undergrad in civil and structural engineering.
Wow.
Worked in the field, and then decided one day I could probably do this myself. And so 22 years ago, he started a company, Milhouse Engineering and Construction. It's the largest Black construction and engineering firm in the United States.
Oh, I love it.
And then we married. I met and we married. And he was really a giver. You know, he's the guy you could walk up to on the street and say, hey, I need rent. He's like, oh, here's the rent. And I took what I had learned from my nonprofit experience and said, that's kind, and that's what you should do, be kind. But if you can't measure your impact, then are you really making an impact? Like the Bible says, throw your seeds on fertile soil, not just throw them out there and hope something grows. And I asked him to allow me to create something where we could actually see and do the work.
Yeah.
And his heart was in making certain that those fourth graders who are told they're not rich enough and they're not smart enough and they're brown could make it to owning a company 22 years later.
Oh, that's so good. I got the goosebumps and all the things. And I know it hasn't been the easiest journey of launching and all of that, or has it been? Was it for you?
For me, it's a little bit less difficult.
Okay.
I won't say easy because I am a get it done kind of person, and because I know the lay of the land. I know Chicago. What I was not familiar with was engineering.
Okay.
So I had the process of learning the process of why is it critical in third grade. You know, I think about my third grade math, and I absolutely was not trying to be an engineer.
Right.
And so you have to position yourself. And then you got big mammoths of companies that are doing the same thing that have different complexions.
Yeah.
And you have to compete with them or find your space in that. And we were successful at that. We work with an organization called Project Sincere. It's nonprofit, started by two engineers who quit corporate America and started a nonprofit to do boots on the ground work to make certain that their mission and our mission, which are both similar, were done. So we support them fully. Another sister, Tamra, who worked for Boeing. And she was the only Black. And she quit Boeing and started Aerostar Aviation. And now she trains Black youth pilots.
Are you serious? What is her name?
Tamra Holmes.
Wow.
Yeah, incredible.
Thank
you,
Tamra.
Literally, now some of the Black flight attendants you see went through her program.
That is so amazing. And you know, it's so funny because math is taught differently now.
Absolutely.
Than when probably you and I were in school. They're doing this Common Core. I'm like, what the heck?
I don't even know how to use the calculator. let's keep it real. I like the stuff on the side. I'm
Right,
like,
like,
yeah,
what is
where's
all of
the
that?
plus, the minus,
The
and
minus, the equal sign.
that part.
Those are my keys right there.
And why does it cost $300?
That's a good.
That's a computer.
That's a
for me.
good question. Absolutely. But listen, I want to know in terms of some of the realities that you faced in creating your nonprofit. Do you do it solo, or do you have a team that's working with you?
I have an executive board.
Okay.
My team is really my partners.
Okay.
My nonprofit and corporate partners.
Okay.
But it is difficult because you're a small piece of the big networks
Right.
of STEM, and then it becomes a buzzword, and then it's STEM, and then it's STEAM, and then and then there's a day for it because there's a day for everything.
Right.
And so you're competing. We're not funded publicly. We're self-funded, and so the monies that we invest come from us.
Yes.
In the last few years, I've decided, well, I guess I could use other people's money. But we do creative things like create service opportunities with Levy at Wrigley Field.
Okay.
And we work a concession stand, and they give us a portion of the proceeds.
Oh, that's great.
And we designate that to one of our charities. The same at Soldier Field. We've done, popcorn fundraisers, but traditionally, and our goal is still to be self-funded and making those donations and impact.
Are you able to tap into some of your like celebrities that you work with in the
Absolutely.
past?
Absolutely.
You thought about doing another basketball fundraiser just for your organization?
I've thought about it, but social media, which is one of my biggest, it's a blessing and a curse for the world.
Yeah.
That instant gratification of it is very difficult. The way that we did basketball games then, you didn't have Madden, and you didn't have, the celebrities. Basketball players were not influencers, and so that immediacy that they can get on social media takes a lot of the life out of that.
Yeah.
And then you look at, most recently, the burden of celebrity. And you have to make certain that when you do marry the celebrity aspect to a child, you have to know who that person is.
I know that's right.
Or you're part of the problem. And so I've attempted to stay as far away as I can. I do work with local Chicagoans, Lorenz Tate and his brothers.
Okay.
People that I know.
Yeah.
People that
you've established relationships
absolutely with. That I would bet my life on.
Yeah.
Don't have those kind of skeletons in their closet.
Right.
Because ultimately that would be my responsibility.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just so many questions I can ask just on that alone. But I'm thinking about one of the celebrities that have supported our organization at Kids in the Spotlight is Drew Holiday.
Okay.
He and his wife, Drew and Lauren Holiday, have a foundation that they started, and they've done like the celebrity, because I think Lauren comes from soccer world. She's in the Hall of Fame as a soccer player.
Nice.
Like, she was just a key player. And so they started an organization where they fund nonprofit. So they did like this soccer fundraiser and basketball fundraiser. They bridged both of their two worlds together. And it was so funny seeing like some of the, I think it was, who's the tall guy from the Lakers? Anthony, not LeBron James, but his right hand. Anthony, is it Anthony Anderson? No, not Lord, that's an actor.
That's a
Jesus help me.
comedian.
He's a tall, light-skinned guy.
From Chicago.
Is it Anthony Davis?
Anthony
Okay.
Davis,
Yeah.
thank you, producers. I appreciate y'all on the sideline. Anthony Davis, like, he was there, and we brought some of the youth, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" So it's incredible the impact that celebrities
Absolutely.
have, especially amongst our young people, because they see these people as untouchable, like somebody I see on a screen, and having to remind them that you too have greatness on the inside of you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
But being mindful of who you align with is just, it's so
critical.
important.
It's mission critical.
Mission critical.
To the very foundation.
Right.
Because you can't, it's like you everything that you create, you can lose in one instant with one poor decision, right? And so creating those relationships Would I do it? Absolutely. Have I used my celebrity leverage for some initiatives? Yeah, but they are for people like Drew and Dondre Woodfield's a dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
I know him, and I know who he is. I know what he does.
Yeah.
And so there are, but those are the exceptions, not the rule. Like on an average, you know, you're going to get 2 out of 10, and then they're already going to have their own mission.
Yeah.
And so I try my best to use the celebrity, but in the space it fits in.
Yeah.
Because we're STEM focused, I don't want to just throw a celebrity in there and leverage that.
Yeah.
Because that celebrity leverage can be used more impactfully in another space for another thing. And so you just kind of balance it. I try to create the hidden figure.
Yeah.
Like my husband.
Yeah.
Like the sisters that work for NASA.
Yeah.
There are Black women physicists, and there are Black women leaders of organizations like Atlanta Gaslight that we never see because they're not social media stars.
Exactly.
Those are the people that I want.
Unsung heroes.
Absolutely.
Among us.
That are literally doing the work, and you can't tell
the
them
field,
it's
boots
hard
on the ground.
because they've done it.
Absolutely. They're not out talking about it. They're actually out doing it.
And they look like us.
Yeah. Ooh, hoo, hoo. I'm about to throw my cue cards in the air. So important,
Absolutely.
right? Another thing that
You
is
cannot
just
be
very
what you
important.
cannot see.
You cannot be what you... Girl, hold on. My water gonna need a refill after I finish talking to Dr. Dunn. Because you cannot be what you cannot see. And I just love the fact that, you know, we started out and you're like, well, I never really saw myself as a leader. But in this conversation, I'm hearing it all. Like just phenomenal leader that you are, because you're looking always at big picture, what it sounds like, right? And using wisdom along the way, but also just modeling what leadership is, right? What would you tell young people today that want to start their own business or felt like a teacher told them that they couldn't be anything? What would you tell them?
I would probably start with that that there's no human alive that can tell you what you can't be.
Hey.
Because no human created you.
Hey, oh,
not even your mother.
Y'all better come and get me. Okay, come on.
God is, the gift of life is literally a gift.
Yes, it is.
And when you understand at our age, or my age, I should speak for myself, that everything was already planned, and the distraction is us not just paying attention and being still. I would say be authentic and be true to who you are. Like I am not by any means perfect. I like what I like. It probably doesn't look good to other people often.
None of us
are. But you have to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to be still.
Yeah.
Right? And especially in a fast-paced world where everything is on social media. I would say integrity. Like, be who you are and be who you say you are. If you say this is me and this is what I do, do that.
Yes.
And perfect that.
Yes.
And then add something to it, not a period, a comma.
Yes.
So that you don't have to be one thing, right? And you can always grow. I think being a lifelong student is, we're never too old to learn.
Right.
Like, I don't care if you're 90. I have a 90-year-old father who is learning how to use a phone that you don't text 43770 as hello. That's how old we are. But I think that's what I would tell them.
Yeah.
Never say never.
Yeah.
Like, you can be literally whatever it is you want to be, but you have to do the work.
You have to do
and
the
that's
work.
what they're missing is the value of the process.
Yeah.
Because they can click it and get it in a day.
And
Amazon will deliver today.
Right. Absolutely. At 5 o'clock, if I
and if you pay a premium, we can get it before we're
right
done.
Now.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so that takes them, and they feel like if I can't get it right now, I worked for the airline. I tell this story because it really was frustrating when I worked for the airline. I was learning how to be a res agent and a rate desk agent. This is when you couldn't book online. And it took 4 months to learn how to make a reservation and get the rate, the cost. the last 2 days of training, when we crossed over, we did our line and crossed over, they gave us 5 codes that could do what we learned in 5 months.
Is that right?
I was super pissed. Why would you, what have we done?
Right.
And they said, it's the process.
Ooh, reminds me of the Karate Kid, right? When Miyagi was teaching him and he started with the swiping of the brush, he's like, look, I need to learn how to fight because he got some bullies. Teach me that.
Absolutely.
And he had to learn to respect
the process. And that lesson is something that I carried with me. They don't know the process.
It's hard now with social media.
It is.
When you're sitting back watching everything that's happening, and we're in this popcorn society where we need everything right now.
Yeah.
It's hard to take that beat and just walk out the thing because we tend to compare. You see somebody else doing it. Oh, I like that. Maybe I can do that. Oh, I like that. Maybe I can do that.
Yeah.
What do you tell somebody who just don't even know what their gifts are, what their purpose is? How do you encourage or motivate them?
I'd say try it all. I'd say try it all. And you'll learn that as you grow. If there are young teen girls like Polish Pebbles, the mentoring program, who really don't know because their experience is their block. Some of them haven't even been downtown. Or we do a shadow day for girls. Becoming a Woman is the organization. There's a Becoming a Man and Becoming a Woman. And we bring them down and we do activities with them, STEM related, but then we do working lunches with them so we can teach them the process of interaction and how you eat and do business, because business is done really at the table or at the bar.
Absolutely.
And one of the girls wouldn't get on the elevator. She had never.
She must be kin to me.
She had never. We're on the 29th floor.
Oh.
We were held up a half hour because she had never been downtown and never been that high up in the elevator.
Was it claustrophobic of being in the elevator or just going up that high?
Fear. It was just fear. I got to get on there to get up there, then I'm not going. But we just were patient. Obviously held her hand through the process, but it's bigger than them. And so if you just, patience is everything that the Bible says it is.
Absolutely.
It is a virtue. And it's, and the layering of it. As a parent, you know this. As a parent, that first baby and that first couple weeks, you're like, wait a minute. And when they turn 20, you're like, it's a different level.
Right.
It's like matriculating through college 14 times.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Because at that point, we got 17 doctorates.
Yep.
But you have to be patient.
Yeah.
And I think that is, I think that's the way that I accomplished that, through patience and understanding that I was probably that kid.
Yeah.
I didn't have social media, but I definitely wanted it when I wanted it.
Right.
And I had a mother who nurtured. I think
Yeah.
nurturing is a key piece of it, but patience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And modeling what you say.
Yes.
Like if they can look at me and look at my social media, and I'm actually who I said I was, then there's one person in their lives that they can connect with.
And all it takes is that one person to make a difference, right?
Absolutely.
That one. Who was that one person for you? Or maybe it was several people. What leaders do you admire? Let me put it that way.
I'd start with my mother. She was the firstborn of 11 in the 30s.
Oh, wow.
In Depression. She raised her siblings and her kids.
Girl, that's a whole nother story in and of itself.
Yeah. She was a high school dropout. We lived in the projects. She decided she wanted green grass, and she pressed her way and met somebody, and we ended up with a swing set in a backyard about 40 miles south of Chicago during my first 8 years of school. She lived and was resilient through burning crosses and peeping toms in an all-white town. She's literally the first Black resident there. She just did what she did what she had to do, and she never cut corners. Like she did it. As she's the first magician, she's my mother, she's the first chef. And so she is really why I do it, because her
Wow.
sacrifice was for us. Her
Yes.
sacrifice of having to deal with burning crosses to protect us so that we wouldn't be in CPS. And so and then Christ. I mean, Christ is the ultimate servant leader.
Absolutely.
And he don't tell you to do it if he's not doing it.
Right. Come on.
And so my superhero is him. And I fail every day, but my goal is to be as much like him as I can.
I know that's right.
If I'm a Michelle Obama fan. I believe she is who she says she is.
Right?
Obviously, she's a Chicagoan, but she is who she says she is. She does the work.
Yeah.
She has a keen
She's real.
sense
She's
of,
a real one.
She is a real one.
Yeah.
She's a real mother. She's a real sister.
Real wife.
She's a real leader. And she don't play.
And she's very transparent.
Literally.
That's what
And
I love.
open. So yeah, she's learned lessons, and there's value in there's value in the lesson.
I know that's
Even,
real.
I didn't understand that as a kid, but there's value in the lesson.
Giving yourself permission to learn the lesson.
Yeah.
And to be open about the lessons.
Yeah.
And as we say, pay it forward.
Yeah.
When you've learned, help someone else.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
we all, I think, need some level of guidance or some model that we can look at to see, well, how is this done? How is this walked out? What does this really look like?
Yeah.
Right?
And then ask God, how does that look like for me? Right?
Exactly.
Because there's no new ideas.
Right. Nothing new
But
under
there
the
are
sun.
new purposes.
Yeah.
And we're all designed, just like there's a million shapes of leaves. There's a million ways to get to the bottom line. And
I know
that's
that.
really
Why they say to skin a cat, something like that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Woo.
The only failure is not failure. The only failure is really not finishing.
Yes. When you give up, that's when it's
Then
a failure.
then it's done.
Ooh, Donnie McKirkland sings a song, we fall down, but we do what? We get up.
Get up.
Right?
Yeah.
We get back
Yeah.
up again.
And try.
So good. So let me ask you this, because they've already told me that my time is running out. I don't like them sometimes when they hold up that sign. I'm like, no, we ain't even close to being
I'm the boss.
Because we ain't even talk about gumbo yet. So, but I want to ask you, let me
Important.
ask you about, give me at least one or two words that your team would use to describe you, your board, the people that you work with. How would they describe Dr. Don?
Stubborn. I'd like to say intentional. Fearless.
Yes.
And authentic. I'm literally who I say I am.
I love it.
All
What you see
of
is
the
what
good-
you get.
That's all I got for you.
It's too much work to be anything else, right?
You gotta keep up. Yeah, and the keeping up is distraction.
So good. Oh my gosh. Okay, y'all. We're about to go make us some gumbo real quickly.
Yeah.
But this has been so amazing. Thank you so much. First of all, for coming all the way from Chicago. I'm sure you got business in LA other than just this.
I've got friendships.
Friendships
That will
in LA.
always.
Yeah.
I will always take an opportunity.
I know that's
100
right.
years worth of friendships. Right.
Ooh, that
Right.
is so
in this
beautiful.
room.
That is so beautiful. Yes, we share some of those friends. I'm like the new kid on the block in the circle of friendship. But let me tell you,
That's
the
gumbo.
sisterhood,
That's
that's
gumbo.
gumbo. That is gumbo. Y'all, I hope that you have heard something today that will help you on your leadership journey. Remember, there's no such thing as failure unless you refuse to get up again. So I just hope that you would do one of three things. Well, no, I'm sorry, not one of three, but all three things. Like, share, and subscribe. Encourage someone else on their leadership journey. But that is our show for today. Thank you again, Dr.
Thank you for
Dunn, for
having me.
being here.
I appreciate
Until
it.
next time, guys, we'll see you on Leadership Realities. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. I hope you were inspired and you gained some valuable nuggets that will help you to become a better leader and to walk in your God-given authority. Bye, until next time.